Yusra,
Hi,
it's great to have you on board. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I have been looking forward to our conversation for a number of reasons. I want to talk about facial aesthetics, medical procedures, your background. I want to talk about family, values, God, some of the things that your opinion on some of the procedures which do take place right now. But I would like to start with going back to your childhood, your baseline, exactly what Yusra was like, or what did she get up to when she was 12 years old, or around that age bracket?
Why 12?
It's a time when you have kind of developed consciousness a little bit more, and you're getting more aware, and your personality starts to really develop. So
I think that my crux personality development started when I was around 8, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
And there were key things that happened, like that have impacted me till today and have driven me till today, and that I think of until today. One of which was an accident that I had when I was 8 years old, that resulted in a really bad cut on my lip. Have I told you the story before?
I have,
You
I
recall slightly?
remember, but I would like you to share it.
So when I was 8, Jungle Book came out, and it was this amazing cartoon, Disney cartoon. I love Disney. I love bears and monkeys and like everything about Jungle Book. So we were in a shop called Woolworths, which no longer exists. And I said to my mom, please buy me Jungle Book. And she said, yeah, okay, watch Jungle Book. We went home. And she said, okay, before you watch it, go upstairs and brush your teeth. My mom was a dental surgeon as well. So I ran upstairs, super excited, jumped up on the bath to reach the toothbrush because I couldn't reach the toothbrush. And the bath, the sill of the bath was wet, and there was a broken tile, and I slit and I cut myself from my upper lip to my lower lip, intraorally, extraorally, really badly, to the point where my lip was like cut from here to here, hanging off.
Oh my God.
And it's a very vascular part of your face, so there was blood everywhere. And my sister found me, and I was just in a pool of blood. And my dad's a surgeon. My mom was a dental surgeon. So they both kind of came to me, were very, very calm, held my lip in place, knowing that any tension could actually completely detach the lip. It was in the middle of the night, so they sent my other sisters to someone else to look after for the night, and they called a friend, and I got stitched back together. But I had 42 stitches. And my dad is a hardcore, he is all about education. So he was like, okay, you're stitched back together, you go to school the next day. So the next day I was in school, and I had this face full of stitches, and everyone was mortified. And it was a key moment, and it's something that I won't forget because it was impactful emotionally. Because I was like teacher's pet. I would sit at the front, and my teacher loved me, and I loved her. And she said to me, "You look scary," not in a bad way. She didn't mean bad. I have the insight to realize she didn't mean bad, but she called me baby horror. And then she told me, sit at the back of the class so that no one else gets scared or no one points at you. Partly to safeguard me from pointing and staring, partly to safeguard the children from distraction. So for a week I sat in the back of the class, but I felt almost like, relegated and depromoted, if you like. And after that, when the stitches came out, I had a really prominent scar on my face. And, it wasn't until years later that I grew into my lips and my face that it wasn't as obvious. I had microneedling treatments that made it a lot less obvious. And you can still see it if you look closely. It's like a little lump on my lip. And for years, people would say, what's wrong with your lip? And why is your lip like that? And what's that scar on your face? I'd have to explain it to everyone. And in my mind, it was the first thing that everyone saw. So that, I think, really impacted me. And I think that's when I decided I'm going to healthcare. And I knew I was going to go into a path of healthcare that would help people with facial trauma. And I remember writing a letter to the surgeon saying, thank you so much. And, saying to him, I'm going to do something like this in the future. So that's when I made a conscious decision about where I wanted to be in 20 years' time. And then when I was 9 years old, we moved country because my mom's a dental surgeon. And at that time, this is a long time ago, dental implants had just come out. It wasn't the norm back then. This was, I guess, almost 30 years ago. And she said, let's move. And so this new opportunity came up because her brother had opened a hospital in Amman, Muscat. And he called her and said, will you come? Now, she had 4 children. My sister was the eldest, 9. I was 8. The younger one was about 4 or 5, and the baby was 1. or just turning 1. And I remember the conversation where she said to my dad, I want to go. I am done with London life. It's cold, it's dark, it's grey, it's lonely. I am not, like, I don't see myself here. I want to go back to the Middle East. She was from the Middle East. And, well, she was Middle Eastern, but she grew up in Africa. So my dad said, okay, after lots of deliberation, but he couldn't come because he was a surgeon. So it meant separating the family and her traveling cross country with 4 children by herself. So she's like a superhero. She's like my number 1 ultimate inspiration. So we moved to this new country. I was 9 when we moved, and all of a sudden, all of my education turned into Arabic. So it went from being in the British system to having to do Arabic studies, like hardcore local level, history in Arabic, geography in Arabic, religious studies in Arabic, everything in Arabic. And whilst I was conversational in Arabic, because my father made a real conscious effort to teach us, I certainly wasn't good from an educational point of view in Arabic. And when I was in London, in my final year, when I was in year 4 in London, at that point, I was like a monkey. I was, you'd find me in trees. I was like living my best life. I was having so much fun. I didn't really care about education so much. I was a child. And one day, my mom picked us up from school. And she said, show me your reports. My sister's report were A's and B's. And my report was B's and C's. And she went, what happened here? And I was embarrassed. I felt shame. So I said, it's a mistake. I said, they swapped my report. It's not mine. They swapped my report. And she's so smart because she immediately understood that I felt shame, didn't call me out for making that up, and just said, okay, they swapped your report. I get it. And that was it. And as a reward, after we got our report, she would always take us to McDonald's. So she took us to McDonald's. We had our little treat. We went home. And then my dad was like, show me the report. And my report said B's and C's. And my dad was like, what do you mean? My daughter gets B's and C's? And I was terrified. So I ran upstairs. I hid in my room. And I could hear my dad, like, he was angry. He was like, why did you still get B's and C's? What happened here? And my mom said to him, Amir, you do not tell her off. And she said, leave her. She feels shame. She told me that it's not her report. She already knows she needs to fix this. She's going to do this on her own. And that's what I heard. So I immediately thought, okay, I need to fix up and I need to do this on my own. That was my interpretation. So I took that. That became my I think, part of what has made me self-motivated, hardworking, accountable to specific standards I hold myself to, comes from that moment. I realized that after I did a course called Landmark, that came up for me, and I was like, oh, okay, that was almost like my winning streak came from failure. So when I moved to Oman and suddenly I had to learn in Arabic, I thought, okay, I need to fix up. I can't fail on this, and I need to do this on my own. So I would stay up at 9. I was 9. I would stay up in the middle of the night reading, trying to understand the Arabic, trying to translate. And because when we originally moved, we were not as strong. And my mum made a decision. She said, I'm not putting you in the expatriate class, because if I put you in expatriate class, you'll never rise to your potential. So I'm going to put you in the local class, and you're going to learn geography, history in Arabic. And I remember going, Mama, please don't. She's like, no, you can do this. And she speaks 6 languages. She speaks Romanian, French, Arabic, English, Swahili. She's incredible. So she just put this unwavering belief in us. And so I did it. I did it, and I excelled, and I did really well, and had the best time of my life. And I think moving to a new country at an instrumental age, at like a crucial age in your self-development, taking you out of your comfort zone, being away from your father who was there all the time, and suddenly being in a new country and dad wasn't around, was difficult. It was a challenge, but it made me very adaptable. So now it doesn't matter where I am. I feel like I have broadened my worldview. I've learned about new cultures. I can survive wherever you drop me. And it's given me the ability to be adaptable and communicate with people from all walks of life. So by the time I came back when I was 13, you asked me where I was at when I was 12, I was, in my mind, I remember myself to be quite well formed. And I had clear set ideas of who I wanted to be, of what my expectations were of myself. And I was already kind of on that pathway of hard work. I was hardworking at that point. I had gone, like, my monkey years of finding me in a tree and not caring about academia had gone.
And, I read Trump's book recently, Art of Negotiation. And one of the points that he made in that book is when he's looking to recruit people, he's looking for two things. Someone who can sell, so someone with the great relationship building and emotional intelligence and then behavioral psychology skills. And then secondly is someone with a chip on their shoulder. So would you say that you had a chip on your shoulder, and do you have a point to prove even today?
I don't think I have a chip on my shoulder. Do I have a point to prove? Maybe to myself. It's interesting. Maybe to myself. Maybe, do I have a fear of failure? Yes, probably. I don't ever want to feel that shame that I felt when I was 8 years old. And so I constantly push myself to be the best that I can, I guess, to prove myself to me.
That makes sense. So, okay, so diving into easier questions now. Okay. I know we've had plenty of conversations about this off the record, about the creator, the grand designer, the creator of this planet or the universe. And I've listened to you explain this in the nicest way possible. What's your relationship with the grand designer? And also, why do you think it's crucial for us to actually implement that structure and that faith within our children and their upbringing? Why do you think that structure is so crucial?
So when you talk about grand designer, you mean God?
Yes.
What does it mean to me? I mean, I'm a woman of faith, obviously. I'm not wearing a scarf as a fashion statement. I wear it as a testament to my spirituality and my belief in my faith. But it's more than just covering my hair or my body. It's a way of being. It's a philosophy. And, for me, it means a lot. My hijab means a lot to me. I started wearing a scarf from a young age. Again, I was probably around 9 years old when I started wearing a scarf. And I haven't seen it to be difficult or alienating except in certain points in my life. And it's in those points that I realize actually how much of a protection it has been for me. So the hijab is such a big topic. Hijab is what I'm wearing on my head, right? That's what I'm covering. And it's not just I'm covering my head. I'm covering my sexuality. I'm covering my whole body. All you can see is my face and my hands. That's it. The idea is that you are keeping your sexuality for one person and one person alone. Nobody else has the right to see that or enjoy that. Okay? So that's part of it. The other thing is, it's a message to myself and to others. Don't judge me on what I give your eyes. Judge me on what I can give to your mind. So that's another part of what hijab means to me. And covering your hair as a Muslim woman is, like all faith, is a very personal choice. There is no compulsion in religion. That's written in the Quran in the Islamic book. My mother didn't wear hijab. She didn't wear a scarf for a long time and has found it quite difficult because she wasn't brought up with it. But it has very strong belief systems. So faith is one thing. It's the belief in God. It's the belief in a way of life, on how you carry yourself. And then how you practice it on a daily basis goes hand in hand, but is on a spectrum of how people will manage that. And everyone has their own struggles. I do pray 5 times a day. And I teach my kids to pray 5 times a day. I do cover myself. And I hope one day my daughter will, but that will be a personal decision for her. So, and I say to my children when I'm teaching them to pray, God doesn't need your prayers. It's not for him. He doesn't need it. You need it as a reminder. Every single day when we are praying, there are certain things that we say. And one of them is, guide me on the right path. So what is the right path? Now, I always say, I hear no evil, see no evil, do no evil. And all religions teach the main same things. Don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal, do good to others, and do no evil. Yeah. So for me, faith is very important. It's a way of life. It's a way of being. It's how I carry myself. It's a responsibility also, because my religion is on show. Your religion is not. You walk into a room, nobody knows if you're atheist, if you believe in God, if you're agnostic, if you're Jewish, you're Hindu. It's hidden. Mine is there. So as soon as I walk in a door and someone meets and greets me, they already have a preset schema and an idea of who I am, what I stand for, what I don't stand for, what my way of life may be, what I eat, what I don't eat, what I drink, what I don't drink. They've already got that. That's already there. So there is and I'm contending with that, and I am respectful and mindful of that. And my scarf for me is a reminder when I look in the mirror. Do I wear my scarf all the time? No, I don't wear my scarf at home. I don't wear it with my husband. I like to dress up. I enjoy that. But I keep that to certain key people vision. When I am out, I am conscious of how I represent Islam. Because whether I like it or not, I represent. And it's a flag of Islam in a way, right? So people will have these preconceptions. They may be positive, they may be negative. They may be right, they may be wrong. And the things that I've contended with over the time of wearing hijab has been 9/11, which was a horrible situation in America. And that's when I started to experience racism of people saying, you go back to your country. And I'm like, huh? Where is my country? I was born here. I'm British. But people think I don't belong because I wear a scarf. I don't see my scarf as a message of alienation or isolation or lack of integration. I am very socially integrated. But it's a message to myself to respect myself and respect others. So it's for me. And it's not an uneducated or oppressive thing. I do it from a position of education. I remember when France banned, so in France, you're not allowed to wear a scarf. It's completely banned. You can't work in governmental positions wearing a scarf. You can't go on the beach and wear a scarf. You can't wear a full body swimsuit, which I will wear if I'm in public, which then means I can't go to these places. So if I'm going to a conference and all my friends go to the beach, I can't go unless I compromise my beliefs or take off something on my body. And I remember reading at the time thinking, why? Like, why are they doing this? What is their reason? And it comes from a lack of education, misunderstanding, and fear. People fear the unknown. And they associate my decision to cover my head as something bad. Okay? And that bad may be because they misunderstand and think and have associated me with ISIS or Taliban or some kind of terrorist organization. That's not what Islam is, of course. You and I know that. That's not what I'm about. That's not how I teach my kids. So when I teach my kids faith, I don't teach them, God is going to do this and this is what you have to do. I teach them love, not hate. I teach them to be God conscious, not God fearing. There is a difference again. So it's all about peace. Islam literally means peace. Okay, and submission. That's what it means. So when I'm contending with these emotions and misconstruction and misinterpretation, I'm thinking, okay, how can I change that? And when I'm walking into an environment, I'm conscious that I'm representing and how I carry myself will also either contribute to their belief system, their thoughts on Islam. So, and for me, it's been a huge protection. I've spoken to you about this in the past. When I first went to university, which is normal, everybody has Freshers Week and people are going clubbing and doing all kinds of things, and that's their prerogative and right. But I made a decision, I'm not going to go there because I don't think that's the place for me. And I don't think I will represent who I am in my faith properly there. And I am always actually conscious of death. And I think if I die in a nightclub, that's just not good for me. So that's
not a great look.
That's not good luck. God, I'm not sure God will be okay with that. So now when 10 years later, I'm now traveling nationally, internationally for conferences. I am put in situations which I may not like to be in. And I think, okay, if I always conscious of how am I representing? Is this the right place for me? And it comes back to not just do no evil, but see no evil, hear no evil. Because taking that in is going to impact me. It's going to impact my psychological state, my emotional state, my way of thinking. You are like the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So I'm very conscious of that. So I take myself out of those situations as fast as I possibly can. So for me, hijab is a protection. And hijab is the physical, but it's more than that. It's also a way of being and a way of life. So my son doesn't wear hijab, obviously, but I tell him to respect others. I tell him to respect himself. I tell him to respect women. If a man is coming into my house, a builder, he goes, Mama, cover yourself. He's conscious of protecting me as well now. He's conscious of that. And I think faith is very important for children because it gives them a sense of something bigger. It gives them a sense of purpose. It gives them an innate moral compass because I'm not going to be here forever. And I say, if I'm not here, God's still around. So be conscious and do the right thing for you and for God. Do good, not just for you. Do good for God. So for me, faith is not just not just belief, it's a way of being. And I hope that it will empower my children to live their life confidently, make confident decisions, and also manage adversity. It's a coping strategy. If things will not go well, and they won't at some point, that they know that there's a greater sense of being, there's a greater purpose, this too shall pass, there's a reason why it will happen. And in Arabic we say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That means to God we came and to Him we belong. If I die tomorrow, you'll see me again. And I think that gives a sense of comfort. So that for me is big.
And do you see right now younger generations, children, society, because I see this becoming a massive problem right now where there's a lack of structure, lack of discipline, and lack of profound good leadership. So because a lot of people, they either have too many options, whether they're like, okay, I can be whatever I want, especially children, or I can follow whatever I want. So that level of freedom is actually causing a lot of confusion to young minds. So this, going back to your point of, faith, faith is great, and one of the massive plus points is, you don't have to worry about something that's not in your control. You just worry about today. Also have a realization that, you do something wrong and nobody might know, nobody might be watching you, but somebody is. So then that you just got to keep it tight.
It's self-calibration.
Yes.
It's self-actualization. It's I think that's really important, because if I'm not there watching, doesn't mean that they shouldn't be doing the right thing. They have to reflect, and I that impacts me every day, because I think back on times or on the week, I'm like, did I do the right thing there? And if I didn't, how can I correct that? Because I'm not sinless. I'm not, I will make mistakes, but I'm constantly self-reflecting. And I think faith provides me with that, because I think, would God be happy with that? And am I doing the right thing? And also, I believe in an afterlife. So, yeah, I think that it does allow that self-calibration.
There's also something which I can't explain, but I think it's a law of the universe, where even when I didn't have, because I have very, very strong belief in God right now. I have very strong connection, and that is getting stronger as my son grows, and he's like just the most amazing person, teaches me so much amazing stuff. And as I'm getting more realization, I guess, growing up, when I look back and I see that, if there was ever a moment when I did end up doing something wrong or made a mistake, it inevitably did end up coming out in some way. So even if no one is watching, no one is looking, it's a law of the universe that you do something wrong, then that's a tax that you're going to have to pay in some way, some fashion. It's going to come out. That's super interesting. I want to talk about your business and also the way you balance your personal life. So you have beautiful children and you're happily married, and you're this incredible young person who has also managed to create incredibly successful brand for yourself in business. Right now, when I see society and young women especially, I don't mean to be cynical about it, but the narrative is you can either be a housewife where everything else is taken care of from a financial standpoint, and you're at home and you're making that home and bringing up the children, being housewife, right? Or you can be a beast at work and create all these amazing businesses and create a brand and, the hyper successful in business. How do you manage both? Because to manage both, you are falling into a very small pool of people. So how is that possible? What level, how much would you contribute this to your upbringing from your parents? And what are some of the practices that you implement in your lifestyle which enables you to do this?
Great questions. So much to say on this topic. When you say successful business, success is such a subjective term, and I don't look at myself and think I'm successful, because my goalposts are constantly changing and evolving. So there's no point at which I think, okay, I have reached success and I'm done now. My goalposts are always changing, and I'm always thinking, okay, what next, and how do I improve what I'm doing? whether that's from a financial goal point or a service goal point or whatever, or a legacy, what I can give back. And I think another really important thing to say about this question is there is no right or wrong here. Being a housewife is a very important role in society.
It's very taxing as well. It's a 24-hour job.
It's a 24-hour job, absolutely. And so what I'm always conscious of as well is how my philosophy and what I do, I don't want to glamorize it. And I don't want to make anybody else think that being a housewife alone or choosing not to have children is any less than doing both. It's not. It's a decision, a personal decision, and both have their contributions to society. And these contributions have been around for a really long time. These roles have been around for a really long time, partly from an evolutionary perspective and reason. And, when I say this, let me just delve a little bit deeper. 1400 years ago, when the Prophet of Islam got married, he got married to a woman who was a businesswoman who was working. And so women have been working for a long time, and she was a mother. In some cultures more than others. And yes, you can choose to be a homemaker or a full-time mother, which is an incredibly important role because you're raising the next generation of superstars. Or you can choose to do both. Personally, I have chosen to do both. And that is largely because of my upbringing. My mother, as you know, was a mother to 4 young girls and very much did both. She was an oral surgeon. She was an implantologist. She was phenomenal in her field. She was award-winning. She was innovative, hardworking. And my father empowered that, supported that. And my father, when we grew up, would always say, do your best. 99% wasn't good enough. Why not 100%? So there was always a growth trajectory. There was never a ceiling. There was the norm of doing both. I come from that background. All of my aunties have been award-winning scientists, for infrastructure and geographical contributions and, geohacking and all kinds of things that they've done that are amazing. So I look at them and they're my inspiration. They're my goalposts. They are my role models. And because of that, it was never a question of, if I have children, do I stop working? It was a given that I would do both to myself. Now, when I got married, I realized that there are different viewpoints because I got married into a family who works in a different manner. The mothers, once they became mothers, or the wives, were the homemakers. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's a very important role. But that wasn't a role that was right for me to do alone. And at certain points, and I say this to women, I see this in the younger generation as well, particularly career-orientated younger women who put off having children because they're afraid that when they have children or when they get married, their life ends. No, my life has never been better since I got married. I have a life partner that supports me and understands me and that I lean on. My life has never been more enriched than having children. My son now, yesterday, I've just started a dental clinic. I'm constantly evolving and expanding and have a number of things that I'm doing. And I was sitting there doing the numbers and thinking, God, I'm putting a lot of liquidity into this. And, it can be scary when you're starting a new venture. And he said, Mama, don't worry. It takes money to make money. That came from my 9-year-old son. So, and I'm really proud that he is empowering me because he'll empower his wife next. Okay. So how do I balance? There's no secret sauce. There's no secret recipe, but I think infrastructure is important and passion is important. I am very passionate about being a present mother. That is a very important role. Just because I'm a working mother doesn't take away from my role as a mother, my contributions as a mother. And I don't think there's ever 100% balance. I think there is a deliberate imbalance where when I am at work, I am all in. I am at work unapologetically, fully present in that moment, fully with my patient, giving them the absolute best that I can. And when I am not with them and I'm with my children, I unapologetically switch off. Of course, I'm on call all the time. I'm a medic. If there's an emergency, I pick up my phone. But my phone is a way for the routine. I am with my children. So the way that I manage my doing both roles is being present in the now, no matter where I am. If I'm at work, I'm at work fully. If I'm with my children, I'm with my children fully. So it's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of time. It's the quality that I bring in that moment. Does that make sense? And then infrastructure. There is no way that I could have built what I have built without supports. I have the support of my husband. I have a phenomenal team of people who understand my ethos And I make sure I drive that home. So every single day on a Monday morning, we start our fresh week, and I repeat our ethos. I repeat my why. I repeat what we're trying to do, our mission. And I say, look, I'm here to empower my patients. We are going to be creating empowering transformations. We're going to give people radiance on the outside, wellness on the inside. I drive that home. So when they start their day, they're rowing the boat in the same direction. And you have to have a team rowing the boat in the same direction. Your people are your biggest assets. So you got to have the right people around you. And if you don't, you need to de-weed quick. So for me, certainly teamwork, certainly support. And I think leaning in on whatever I'm doing, being present. And when I am off balance, if I am too much, if I have to take my foot off the pedal at work, I need to make sure that I have infrastructure to enable that to happen. I prepare for that. And vice versa. If I need to be at work more, I prepare for that. And I say to my husband, I'm going to be at work a lot over the next 2 weeks, and I need him to pick up the times that I'm not there. So it's that support, and it's constant recalibration, teamwork for sure, and passion. When I get up and I go to work, I get up with a bounce in my step. I'm excited. I love what I do. I cannot imagine, and people say this to me a lot, you've been doing this for a decade. I've treated tens of thousands of patients in my lifetime. Do I want to take my foot off the pedal? Do I want to stop treating patients and being more of a business owner? And really the answer is no. The business owner part of it comes with the growth, and it is what it is. But my joy comes from being in a one-to-one space with a person, hearing their story, making an impact to their life, and doing artistry. I am an artist. I love painting. I love all things art. I am constantly curating beautiful pieces of art. So when I am working with my hands, I am in my happy place. So I think passion is very important. If you have a passion, you will excel at it, and you'll pursue that phenomenally well. So that's, if I could advise the younger generation, I would say fear not having children. You do not start and end with being a mother. And I say this a lot to young career-orientated women who keep putting it off, thinking that they have this lifetime available to have children. You don't. We have to be really honest about that. Your eggs will dwindle. Your ability to have children will dwindle. I see so many people in their mid-40s on IVF because they kept putting it off for their career, thinking they couldn't do both. You can do both. You have to have structure. You have to have a greater purpose. You have to have a routine that works for you. And you have to want to do it. If you're just doing it to tick a box, I think that's very hard, and you will lose momentum quite quickly. But you can certainly do both. You may not be able to do both at the same time, but that's okay.
That makes perfect sense. I would also add to say that the hyper successful people that I know, it's not so much as to what they are doing differently, like the secret sauce. Everybody's after, that hack, that pill. It's the things that they're not doing that actually plays a massive contributing factor. So I'll give you an example. If what you're doing right now, because everything has to be so calculated in order for you to be operating in this space. If you just threw alcohol in your lifestyle, it would just throw off the balance, because it will impact your sleep, it will impact your relationships, it will impact your energy levels. You want to be able to, it will impact your health, which completely breaks down the structure. Just one thing, alcohol. On top of it, another thing that I see, and speaking to a lot of super successful people, they always have one thing in common: their immediate proximity of people around them. Their best friends, family, it could be their partners. If they're getting any toxic thoughts channeled towards them, that has, and by toxic, I don't mean negative thoughts, because I think people misunderstand that quite often, where they think, oh no, that person is super positive, but that person could be super positive and very progressive, but they could have toxic traits where they are getting into bad relationships, or they have really cynical viewpoint of relationships, and so on and so forth. And that can have a disturbing impact on your behaviors, because your thoughts are being impacted by these people. So I think your circle, from what I understand, from what I've seen for years, is really good, and it's very progressive, which is great, starting with your mom and dad. Yeah, for sure. So that's the baseline. So you're coming from a very solid place.
For sure, I think your close proximity, your home environment is very important, and it's how you talk to yourself. Because now when I'm navigating difficulties or challenges, I often think about my mom. How would she do that? What would she do in this kind of situation? And also this unwavering belief that she instilled in us meant that I speak to myself actually quite kindly. I think I tell myself I can do it, and I say that now to my children. Every night when they go to sleep, I tell them, okay, top 5 things that happened today, top 5 things you're happy about, like you're grateful for, your blessings. So, and then they say, thank you God for a roof on my head, thank you God for food, thank you God for mom and dad, thank you God, all of these things. They're constantly in a position of, or reflecting on what they're grateful for. And then I tell them what I believe, like my belief in them. And I say to them, you can do anything. You are phenomenal. You are so smart. I speak to them kindly, say affirmation, because eventually when mom is not there, that will be how they talk to themselves. And that will help them to navigate life, in the future. So your surrounding is very important. The people that are in your close proximity are 100% very important. And then lifestyle, routine, no alcohol. Obviously I don't drink alcohol as part of my belief system, but there are certain things that you can do that, like little biohacking, pivoting and lifestyle modifications that make a huge impact to your productivity. For example, sleep. Sleep was something that I really compromised in my late 20s, early 30s, because I was growing and I had 3 children. I have 3 children, and that was my time. That was my time when nobody needed me, nobody was touching me, where I could get things done. Now, when I know myself better, when I've learned so much more in life, I am very protective over my sleep, and my husband as well. We made little changes that have made huge impacts on our productivity. I say, 1 hour before midnight is equivalent to 2 hours after midnight. So sleeping early, waking up early makes a huge difference, which is what my mom told me all the time when I was growing up. And I was like, oh, no. But I was grafting. I was doing what I had to do at that served me for that life purpose. I'm also very protective of my time. And one of my friends said a really good thing. They told me, imagine you're 24 hours a day, you had 24 bangles. Every time you give somebody an hour of your time, you're giving away a gold bangle. Be selective with who you are spending your time with. Be selective with what you're putting on your plate. So now I have really learned the power of no, the word no. If it doesn't serve me, it's a no. If it's going to take away from my capacity and my trajectory and what I want to do, it's a no. So I'm very respectful of my bandwidth, my capacity, and very boundaried about what I will give my time to. And if it doesn't serve me, I'm not doing it. So I think that's another, if I had to give secret sauce, I'd say be boundaries. Set your boundaries really early on. Be really clear about where you want to go. And every time you're doing something, think, does this serve my purpose? Is this going to help me get to my end point? And if it doesn't, take it off your plate. Focus on something that will take you that one step further to where you want to be.
Yeah, that makes a perfect sense. And I will also add that according to a lot of research and data that's coming out, we're seeing that the biggest determining factor of someone's hyper success is their choice of their partner, right?
Of their partner.
Yeah, their partner, their life partner, right? And you're married to a superstar, and I want to understand exactly from your viewpoint. I know we've spoken about this a lot. How much does that contribute to your success and also being able to progress forward so quickly?
My husband is the wind beneath my wings, and I make no mistake about that. I give him a lot of credit because he is the person that I lean on if I'm having difficulties. He helps me make creative judgments, and he's been there from day dot, And there are times when I think, oh God, I just can't do it anymore. And he goes, yes, you can. He's that voice of constant empowerment and support. He believes in me more than I believe in myself, to be honest. So he's hugely instrumental. And when we talk about success, I find the word success, I'm always like, how do we define success? Success is so subjective. For you, success might be someone who's making 10,000, 100,000, a million. It's a spectrum and it depends on your baseline. So success is not, like I said to you earlier, I don't think of myself as successful because my goalposts are constantly changing. But I think...
Would you say success is more determined and measured by the value of your business or the value of your creation instead of a monetary value?
I think both. I think it's both. I think it's... I think from a kind of an objective measurement and understanding of the word success, yes, people look at monetary. But what's successful to you? Is it a business turning over 100,000 or a million? Or so what is success?
To me personally, it's not a number of the turnover or the net profits. To me, it's because the money is the byproduct. It will come inevitably. Your business is going to be hyper successful if from monetary viewpoint, if your value proposition is through the roof, if you're adding incredible amount of value, and you can measure that by your clients, the type of your repeat clients, your client retention, your new client onboarding, your client reviews, how are you setting apart from your competitors? What are the main core differences in terms of innovation within your business, and how are you scaling? Your external stakeholders would be your clients, but what about your internal stakeholders? How are they feeling about growing within the business? So I think that's more so a determining factor for me personally when it comes to success. I would say if you got all those things in line and checked, money will come inevitably.
I could not agree more. And I say this all the time, also to the younger doctors that I'm training and teaching. I say, don't chase the money. Deliver a phenomenal service, deliver phenomenal outcomes. Money will come. And so far, my business has been very organic. I didn't start my business with a business plan. I started my business from something missing in the industry. When I started out I do facial aesthetics and facial and body rejuvenation. 10 years ago, aesthetics was filling people's lips like an eclair, filling lines, giving 3 areas of Botox. That was the aesthetic industry. And that did not fulfill me. I had come from a background of head and neck surgery and helping people with facial deformity and skin cancers, and that fulfilled me. I gave up a very lucrative job for a really poorly paid job in the hospital because I knew that I would develop my skill set and I would give back more. And that served a purpose for then. And if I compare when I first started, when we first got married, my husband and I, he was a new doctor. He was a core trainee. I was newly qualified. We couldn't afford very much. Our pay was low. We couldn't even afford a bed, Sam. We had a mattress that you had to inflate. That's how we lived for the first 3 months, and we had to pace ourselves until we bought a bed. And it was a big deal when we finally had a mattress that when we slept in it, we wouldn't wake up and it was flat every morning. That was where we started from. We couldn't afford a dryer. So if I'm measuring my success, I think, okay, now I have a dryer, now I have a house, now I have a mattress, I have a roof over my head. I don't go to work and count the pounds at the end of the day. I have never done that. I have gone to work and I have been super committed at delivering phenomenal value. And I measure a good or successful day in my eyes is how many happy patients, how did I make them feel? And part of that is altruistic, and part of it is how that impacts how I feel. And I think, when I go, at the end of the day, I go, that was a good day. When I've really made an empowering change to my patients. And with that, money will come, but that's not what I chase. I do not chase money. I never have. Now, as I'm getting more established, I'm starting to recognize the importance of being aware of your numbers. But that wasn't where I came from. That wasn't how I first started. And going back to how important my husband is and your partner is, I think very, very important. I say this, you can't clap with one hand. You need 2 hands to clap. For me, marriage is a partnership. And one may bring in more than the other. One may be the breadwinner. Whether that's the man or the woman, I don't care. It's a team effort. So I see it as, in our marriage, it's a team effort. We don't count the pennies. We have a pocket. We working towards the same goals, which is supporting our family, educating our children. And that's how we do it. So, there are days where he's exhausted and knackered and I have to pick up the slack. And there are times when I can't do something and he picks it up. And there are times when I lose my own self-belief and I think, oh my God, you know what? Maybe I should just sell up, go live in Honolulu and drink coconut milkshakes. And he's like, what are you talking about? Do you know how amazing you are? Do you know how much and he drives that self-belief and reignites my fuel. So I think your partner is very important. But if it's not your life partner, this doesn't mean if you're not married, you're in a single relationship, or you're not in a relationship, you're single, you can't be successful. Of course you can, but then your proximity is very important, because the people around you will, and the words that they say to you will either give something to you or take something away. The words that I speak to you will either empower you or disempower you. So be very selective about the people around you.
Yes. And talking about the facial aesthetics have never been bigger from what I see on Instagram, and also living here in London. You see some stuff done in a really nice way where you can't tell, and people look amazing. And that's, I think, where you specialize to, keep it as natural as possible, which is awesome. How do you manage unrealistic expectations from your clients?
Okay, great question. I've been contending with this from day dot. So, I'm not a newbie in the industry. I've been doing this for over a decade. I've treated tens of thousands of patients. We know that our industry entices people with body dysmorphia. So about 10% of patients who access aesthetic treatments have what we call body dysmorphia, okay? Which means they are unable to logically, rationally decide on how they look. So they might be very, very thin, and they look in the mirror and they say, I'm overweight. They're not rational, they're not logical, they are thinking about something that doesn't exist. Or they might come and say, I've got a bump on my nose, and there's nothing there. Or they might come in with more lip filler.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there, literally. And I have to say, if I can't see it, I can't treat it. Okay. Or they come in with humongous lips that walk in before the rest of the face, and they think they need more. The fish lip, we call it trout pout. We have really funny names in aesthetics: trout pout, hamster cheeks, chicken neck,
chicken neck,
turkey neck, yeah, sausages. There's all kinds of funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Spock. Oh, wow.
So there's also we're quite funny like that. So, and I think it's a big problem in the industry. Even when I go to aesthetic conferences, I'm always a little bit taken aback because I see a lot of distortion, and I find that quite sad because we have taken away from normal anatomy. We have distorted it because of trends. Trends come and go, okay? Mm-hmm. And trends will differ depending on where you are in the world. And I think my belief about facial aesthetics, particularly injectable treatments, is this is a medical field. We are literally injecting people with a foreign body that will alter their appearance, and that will impact their psychological well-being, how they view themselves and how the world views that. There is a sense of responsibility when you are taking a needle to a face. And there is risk. There are risks of blindness. There are risks of necrosis, literally scarring on the face for the rest of someone's life. There's a risk of stroke. So there are risks of permanent visual loss and fatality. That is not something to be taken lightly. So with that sense of responsibility, that understanding is, I think, an ethical responsibility to safeguard patients from distortion. So when I moved to Liverpool, I was in London. I have a clinic in London, in Harley Street, and I have a clinic in Liverpool. And I started off in London, and I moved to support my husband. And when we moved, Liverpool is a phenomenal city. I've come to Latin for you. I really hope you're going to come visit me in Liverpool. So Liverpool is such an amazing city. I love it. But it's a really interesting bubble, and was more of a bubble back when I first started there. In 2016, I moved. And the mindset and the normal kind of way of being was the bigger the better. The bigger the lashes, the better. The bigger the lips, the better. The faker, the better. And that was very, very palpably different to my clientele, my patients, in my patient base in London, who wanted elegant, subtle, natural-looking aesthetics, which is what I specialize in. I believe that facial aesthetic procedures done well are undetectable. You should look like you. You shouldn't look like a clone of someone else. And the danger now is that people are seeking treatments to look like a clone of someone else. High cheekbones, pointed chin, big lips. Kim Kardashian clones. Kim Kardashian is gorgeous, right? But, Kim Kardashian is Kim Kardashian. And beauty also comes from individuality. It's not about chasing every line and wrinkle. Your lines and wrinkles tell a story. I say this to my patients all the time. If I tried to put Kim Kardashian or Angelina Jolie's lips on my face, I would look ridiculous. It wouldn't suit me. So it's about facial proportion and maintaining individuality. So when my patients come to see me, I tell them who I am first. Okay, I make sure that they understand my philosophy. And my philosophy, my why, my what, my end goal is to make them feel and look amazing, but to feel and look like the best versions of them. Okay? I don't do distortion. I don't do trout pout. I don't do hamster cheeks. I don't do Spock. If that's what they're after, I am the wrong shop. And that is made clear at the outset, because when you are injecting in someone's face, when you are treating, that patient-doctor relationship is one based on trust. And it's important that our ethos aligns, our goals align. And if they don't, that's okay. But it's important for them and for me that when I'm treating someone, our goals align. So that's number one. Number two, if a patient is coming to see me and I feel that they don't need something or something will not be in their favor, I have no issue saying no. I say no every single day. And I came from a position when I first moved to Liverpool of working in a place where they said to me, don't say no, stop saying no. But girls would come to see me with lips so big that it was negatively impacting their beauty. You wouldn't look at them and think beautiful. You would look at them and think, whoa, what happened there? And I would educate them to say, that's not a good look. But what happens is something called perception drift. And perception drift is essentially when you forget what you look like and you're surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same thing. All of that kind of, the people in that network, in that close circle of proximity are doing the same thing. They have the same mindset. They're all having the overdone lip treatments. And therefore, that becomes their new goalpost, their new benchmark of normal. They stop seeing normal. That's perception drift. And it's a phenomenon that has been well documented. And it's down to the doctor to guide the patient and to say no. Like, for example, when I teach, I'm an educator, I'm a speaker, I teach doctors, dentists, nurses how to perform these procedures. My second slide of the day is a picture of 3 people. Joan Collins, Donatella Versace, and Michael Jackson, who all had overdone treatments, who ended up having distorted faces because they went too far. Is it their responsibility, or is it the responsibility of the person holding the scalpel, the injection, to say no? And I believe the responsibility comes with the doctor, because I guarantee at some point we will all injectors will have a patient who will come and say, I want more, okay? Because of perception drift. So it's up to us to say, actually, more is not more, less is more. More is going to tip the balance and take you away from being stunning to making you look a little bit strange. Okay, it's a very fine balance, and it comes down to artistry. You are either artistic or you're not. I can teach skill. You can teach a monkey how to inject. But can you visualize beauty? When I walk into a room, I immediately start to assess beauty, aesthetics, spaces, art. I'm very artistic in my mind. So artistry is very, very important. On ethics, I am not here to make money off my patients. I told you that from the beginning. I never turned up to work or started my business because I wanted to be hyper successful or hyper rich. I started my business because there was something missing. In Liverpool, in particular, there wasn't anybody offering natural-looking aesthetic treatments, holistic aesthetic treatments that looked at lifestyle as well, that looked at gut health as well. When someone came for acne, it would be, here's some medication, off you go. When someone came, not, what are you eating? What's your alcohol like? What's your stress like? What's your gut microbiome like? What's you using on a daily basis? What's your makeup? Was it holistic? As the same with aesthetics, it's holistic, because there is a why. When patients come to see me and they want to look better, there's a motivating factor. And there's often, for me, I don't just do beautification, I do rejuvenation, so anti-aging or reversal of aging, so to speak. And I do reconstruction of facial deformity. There is a burden that they hold. They are unhappy, whether it's female or male, they're unhappy with something. It's holding them back. They're not going on that first date. They're not going on camera. They're not taking that front-facing job. There is something holding them back that they want to overcome. So I get to the crux of that. What is your why? Why are you here? What do you want to achieve? Okay. What's the emotional change you want? And then we talk about the aesthetics. And then I look at their aesthetics and I go, okay, well, what is it that you think you see? And often they'll say to me, I hate my nose. The nose in particular comes with strong connotations. It's the only thing that's in the center of the face is what I specialize in. It's the only thing sticking out of the face. And people see that a lot. And people comment it. So societies can be unkind. Children will say, you've got a big nose. So people will grow up with an idea of how they look that can bother them. And either they haven't sought treatment yet because it doesn't bother them, great, or they can't afford it, or they haven't found the right person. Once they do, and they're in that chair, They have an idea of where they want to be. And if I see that they're going down an unhealthy pattern, or they're seeking a treatment that will not serve them, my responsibility, my duty of care is to say, actually, I don't think you need more lip filler. I actually think you need to dissolve your lip filler, take it back a step. We can put filler in if you want, but we can do it delicately. We can do it to enhance your aesthetic. The whole idea of facial aesthetics, the industry exists to make you not just look good, but feel good, but also how you function in society. Whether we like it or not, from an evolutionary perspective, aesthetics is important. If you look good, we know that you're more likely to get a promotion, you're more likely to get a partner, etc. So I definitely don't want to be responsible for distorting anyone's faces. I don't think it's a good look. I don't do it, and I have no qualms with saying no, or saying to someone, let's reverse what's happened here. And what I really learned over the years is often patients can't see what they look like because they look at themselves in the mirror statically. They don't realize what their face looks like when they speak. It's not until lockdown that we had the Zoom boom, what we call Zoom boom. Because people suddenly started to communicate with others on a virtual platform where they recognize what they look like when they speak, when they're animated. They didn't see that before. People seduce the mirror. When I give them the mirror and say it to them, what don't you like? They go, there's a seduction of the mirror. They know their good angles and their bad angles. And same with the photo. When they take a photo, they know how to move their face. So it is down to me to help them to see their faces objectively. And that often means taking photographs in all angles, and even when they're moving and talking and speaking, and when they look at it, they go, oh my God, I didn't realize that's what I look like on the side. Because they see a 2D image of a 3D object. It's my job to help them to see holistically and see what other people see. Because, reality is, when you're at home, in your pajamas, you're waking up, you don't always feel the need to look incredible. You want to look good when you're going out, especially, right? Because it's also how you present yourself and how you carry yourself to the world and how they will perceive you. So if you want to look good to the world, you don't want to look distorted. That's not going to serve you. So I educate them on that. It's a very educational process. And if I feel there's a psychological barrier or a true psychological disorder, body dysmorphia is a psychological disorder, I have no qualms talking to them about that and referring them to someone who can safeguard them.